Hello, I'm Stephen Bissette, native Vermonter, instructor at the Center for Cartoon Studies in White River Junction, Vermont. I've been showing movies in 16 millimeter and on video and DVD to student groups since I was in junior high school at Harvard Union High School. And it's a pleasure to be on this program. Tonight we're going to be watching an unusual movie that my generation grew up with on TV all the time, which is The Devil Bat from 1940, starring Bela Lugosi. A couple of our hosts here at this program have used the term B-movie, and it's become a slang term referring to any movie that was made with a low budget. But the fact of the matter is, B-movie at one time was a very specific thing. Hollywood studios would make A films, which would be their higher budget movies with name stars. And then there would be a second movie on the film program, and that was the B movie. It was a movie that had lesser stars, made for much less money, and it was a very specific market term. A B movie was a very specific thing. And The Devil Bat, which we're watching tonight, is definitely a true B movie. This was made in about a week's time in 1940, and this will give you an idea of how B films were shot. Bela Lugosi signed the contract with PRC, a fairly new Poverty Row studio. PRC means Producers Releasing Corporation. He signed this contract in mid-October. They shot the film the next week, and it was in theaters by December 13th, 1940. That's how quickly B movies were being produced and how quickly they'd get them out to theaters. In this film, Bela Lugosi plays a pharmacologist, if you will, who has made a fortune for a pharmaceutical company and has his regrets that he signed away the rights to his formulas and is exacting his revenge on the family that owns the pharmaceutical clan. I would argue this makes this film fairly contemporary in concern. A lot of disgruntled employees out there right now, and a lot of concern over pharmaceutical corporations and how they make their money. Also, this film has a semi-autobiographical element because Lugosi, as you'll see in the movie, spends much of the movie sort of muttering to himself and talking to his devil bat about how angry he is, this bottled up anger that he has. At this point in Lugosi's career, this is just 10 years after he made Dracula, he was already sort of a second string actor. Lugosi had gone from being a top of the bill box office star who had a certain romantic cachet. You'll see articles about him in women's gossip magazines and confessional magazines from the early 1930s. And by 1939, his career had trickled down to a lot of support playing roles at Poverty Row Studios. I've used that term once, I've just used it again. Poverty Row Studios were specifically low-budget motion picture studios like PRC, Monogram, and so on, who would crank these movies out, one every week, for very little money. And these, as I said, were true B films. So Lugosi had gone from top of the bill, name star in movies like Dracula, to bottom of the bill in movies like The Gorilla, co-starring the Ritz brothers. The year before The Devil Bat was made, he'd had another breakthrough year. Universal Studios brought back the horror film cycle with a top production called Son of Frankenstein. Boris Karloff came back to play Frankenstein's monster. Basil Rathbone played Dr. Frankenstein, and Bela Lugosi played Igor, the villainous hunchbacked assistant to the Dr. Frankenstein. And that same year, 1939, Lugosi appeared in an MGM hit, Ninotchka. So he was in big studio films again, but within a few months, he was back to Poverty Row making movies like tonight's The Devil Bat. He continued with studios like PRC and Monogram all through the 40s. Lugosi also suffered from sciatica and a back injury, and became addicted to opiates, which also makes this film relevant to the present day because we're dealing right now with a real epidemic of addiction to painkillers like that. And Lugosi's career took a real hit from that, and he became sort of a gossip rag subject for his addiction. The fact is, he was constantly in pain, and that led to the decline that his career went on. My generation grew up with Lugosi on TV. Movies like The Devil Bat were on television since 1950. The PRC movies were among the first films released to TV stations for syndication. So this movie was on Saturday afternoons, Sunday afternoons. We'd come home from school and it would be on TV. It would be playing on The Late Show. And this is the Lugosi that my generation grew up with, as much as the Latin lover that was a vampire in Dracula. Current generations tend to know Lugosi, if they remember him at all, from Martin Landau's Academy Award-winning performance as Bela Lugosi in Tim Burton's film of Ed Wood. The fact of the matter is, Lugosi was a very soft-spoken gentleman who never cursed. This was revealed to me by two personal friends of Lugosi's, Alec Gordon and Richard Gordon, film producers who produced some of the last films that Lugosi appeared in. And in the case of Alex Gordon actually wrote one of those Ed Wood movies that they depicted the filming of in Tim Burton's Ed Wood. And Alex Gordon told me he was very upset when the film Ed Wood came out because he said that's not what Lugosi was like at all. He was a very kind gentleman, very patient and soft-spoken, never cursed at all. So, welcome to The Devil Bat. This will be perhaps, for some of you, your first taste of Bela Lugosi. Enjoy it. And for others of you, this will be an old friend back in the household. Without further ado, 1940, Gene Yarbrough's The Devil Bat.